Today, the new Korean masterpiece Parasyte, the Grey made a sensational debut. The tale begins with bizarre spores falling from the sky. Once they hit the ground, they hatch into parasites that crawl through pipes and up into a man's body. That man becomes a host for these monstrous parasites, driven only by instincts to kill and feed, and humans are their chosen prey. The parasites can morph their heads at will, changing shape and hardness, sometimes into razor-sharp blades for swift kills. Within moments, the humans around him are doomed, turning the place into a veritable hell on Earth. Just an hour earlier, everyone was oblivious to the apocalypse's onset. Suin was at her supermarket job, dealing with a particularly unreasonable customer who cursed her out and even threatened to kill her. What seemed like mere venting turned terrifying when Suin was hit by a car on her way home, followed by the man stabbing her.
Come here!
Fueled by a fierce will to live, Suin miraculously fought back, knocking the man down before staggering away, clutching her wound. But she didn't get far before collapsing. At that crucial moment, a strange spore landed beside her. When the man approached her again, something unexpected happened. Unaware of what had transpired, Suin woke up in a hospital. Strangely, while her clothes were drenched in blood, her body bore only shallow scars, no severe wounds.
Where she got these scars, like she got stabbed.
Meanwhile, a man named Kanwoo, who had just returned home, sensed something was amiss. He had narrowly escaped death after a failed attempt to assassinate a notorious gang leader, forcing him to flee back to his hometown as a bounty hung over his head. After returning home, he was astonished to find his eldest sister, who had been seriously ill, miraculously out of bed and walking, while his youngest sister was nowhere to be found. When Kanwoo asked about his younger sister's whereabouts, his elder sister vaguely replied that she had gone to a far-off place, which aroused Kanwoo's suspicions. He noticed a church flyer on the mirror and began to suspect that his elder sister might have joined a cult. Deciding to follow his sister to uncover the truth, Kanwoo was unaware that this decision would almost cost him his life. At the same time, Suin, unaware of the existence of parasites, heard the sharp screech again. She noticed a man from the bus following her. As she was about to call the police chief for help, the man suddenly charged towards her, interrupting her dialing. In her panic, Suin ran into the wilderness, only to be stopped by a woman who blocked her path. Kanwoo's elder sister. She bizarrely complimented Suin on her ability to pretend to be human, confusing her even more.
This one seems strange.
What do you want? We are kin, you see now.
Hiding nearby, Kanwoo was terrified to discover that his sister had turned into a monster. The man, recognizing Suin as one of their own, invited her to join their organization, emphasizing that only by working together could they survive. After speaking, they left the area. As Kanwoo was retreating, he accidentally stepped on a water bottle. As he got up, he found the parasite already beside him. Without a word, she knocked him away and threatened Kanwoo to keep silent about everything he had witnessed and to do her a favor or else she would kill him. That favor was to tell Suin the truth. When Suin awoke, Kanwoo relayed the parasite's message. The screeches Suin heard were a sensory response from her own kind. They were all monsters, and she should stay away from them. On the day she was chased by a madman, a parasite had seized the opportunity to enter her body. It was supposed to consume the human brain, but because she was severely injured, the parasite had to first heal her. Running out of energy, it couldn't immediately take over Suin's body, leading to a symbiotic existence inside her.
Hi, did you hear that? I did what you wanted, I told her, okay? I'll head out.
The parasite inside Suin was named Heidi. After completing the task given by Heidi, Kanwoo hurriedly left. When Suin got home, pondering over Kanwoo's words, she wrote in her notebook, "Is there really someone else living inside me?" She then lay down in bed, but in the blink of an eye, 5 minutes passed. Looking back at the notebook, she found several new lines written on it.
What you heard earlier is true. Believe everything he said.
Heidi wanted Suin to write down everything she wanted to know, promising to answer each question one by one. The next day, outside the police station where the chief uncle worked, a mysterious meeting was convened. Before anyone could enter the venue, they underwent strict checks, overseen by the leader of the Grey Legion, Choi Jun-kyung. He presented a grim scene from a concert months earlier, officially announcing the existence of parasites and even displaying a specimen. Choi Joon-kyung explained that to prevent panic, the Grey Legion had established a media control project to tightly regulate news about these parasitic beings. It began with a spore shower months ago, from which the parasitic larvae emerged. These creatures invade the human body through ears, nostrils, or mouths, then consume the human brain to take control of the body, turning the infected into monstrous beings that prey on humans. To identify these creatures, one simply had to pluck a strand of their hair. If the hair wriggled, it confirmed the presence of a parasite. The Legion had also captured a live parasite and used special chemicals to control it, turning it into a radar for detecting its kin.
As a kind of radar to detect if there are any other parasites nearby.
Meanwhile, Soo-in, from the writings she found, learned from Heidi that to heal her, it had initiated a homogenization throughout her body, saving her life but not fully taking over her brain. The odd sensations she felt around certain people were because they were her kind, who also knew she was one of them. If they knew she was in a mutated state, they might eliminate her. So, if she wanted to survive, cooperation was essential. Watching a video on her phone, Soo-in was terrified. But she was unaware that she now faced not only the threat of other parasites but also the pursuit of the Grey Legion. Choi Joon-kyung, who led the organization, harbored a deep hatred for parasites, determined to eradicate them completely.
He's been made into a monster, a plague that should be wiped off the face of the earth! Once transformed like this, they aren't really human! They're not human!
And the instigator of all this chaos turned out to be a tiny parasite. The man curiously watched the small creature emerge. But before he could react, the parasite burrowed into his mouth. The wife, shopping in a supermarket, witnessed people panicking and shouting about a murder. Shocked, she turned to see her husband, bloodied, enter and walk past her expressionlessly, unresponsive to her calls. When she touched him, he slowly turned and, under her horrified gaze, transformed into a tentacled monster that mercilessly attacked her. With no time to think, the wife chose to flee but stopped to save a young girl, nearly losing her life in the process. In a crucial moment, she grabbed disinfectant from a shelf, risking her life to lure the monster into a storage room. She threw the disinfectant, and although the monster sliced open the container, the liquid inside severely corroded it. She took the opportunity to knock it down and locked the door of the storage room, trapping it inside. This was the first parasite captured by humans, and the wife, driven by revenge for her husband, became the leader of the Grey Legion, fueling her hatred for the parasites. Choi Joon-kyung removed his right ear and placed it in the police chief's hand, warning everyone present that once a human is parasitized, they cease to be human and become merciless monsters. He urged them to exterminate any they encountered. After hearing this, a wave of concern washed over the police chief. He quickly headed to the supermarket where Soo-in worked to discuss his worries in person. Soo-in was a bundle of nerves. Could he have discovered her secret of being assimilated with the parasite? Sitting in his chair, Uncle Police's face was etched with anxiety as he recalled Soo-in's peculiar medical history and the descriptions of parasitic beings from the recent meeting. Suspecting that Soo-in might have turned into a monster, after Soo-in arrived, during their conversation, Uncle Police plucked a strand of her hair. Luckily, the hair lay still, confirming that Soo-in was not a parasite. The director heaved a sigh of relief. Just then, a piercing shriek cut through the air. Soo-in knew instantly that one of her kind must be nearby. Sure enough, at the corner stood a man eyeing her. When a police uncle asked her if she knew the man, Soo-in, to avoid raising any suspicions, claimed that he was just passing by. Having dispelled his doubts, Uncle Police stood up to leave. But before doing so, he gave Soo-in a keychain, hoping it would help her step out of the shadows. But as soon as she clocked out, two parasites approached, relaying a message from their leader, Pastor, who wished to speak with Soo-in. Faced with such a threat, Soo-in had no choice but to accompany them to the church. Meanwhile, Kang-woo followed his elder sister and also arrived here, where he discovered Soo-in. At that moment, the sound of a door closing on the other side caught Kang-woo's attention. Inside, while guards briefly left their posts, Kang-woo slipped in, only to witness a chilling sight: human corpses hanging all around. As he examined them, a guard entered in monster mode. Scouring the area, trapped, Kang-woo resorted to a deadly game of hide-and-seek. Meanwhile, Pastor was indoctrinating the crowd, spouting nonsense that humans were the real parasites and that they were here to save them. To survive, he had formed this group, urging everyone to use their skills to quickly take over the planet. As Kang-woo dodged and hid, narrowly escaping detection, he tiptoed over a floor littered with glass shards. Before he could rejoice at his stealth, Kanwoo spotted a familiar face. It was his long-missing sister. At this moment, overwhelmed by grief, he could no longer suppress the rage boiling within him. Overcome with grief and rage, his shouts disrupted Pastor's speech. Pastor commanded the crowd to kill him. Only Suwon stood still, meeting Pastor's suspicious gaze before reluctantly following the others. Having just escaped and unable to defeat the parasites, Kanwoo immediately ran into the gang members who had previously been chasing him. His urgent warnings to flee were too late. The monsters were upon them. The gang realized their attackers were mere villagers and started to throw threats, but the few who rushed at the monsters were quickly slaughtered.
Case. Huh? I said.
Taking the chaos as his chance, Kanwoo fled and ran into Suwon. Together, they decided to leave. After one of them escaped, a man ordered the others to move the bodies back to storage while he pursued Kanwoo. At a gas station, Kanwoo and Suwon jumped into a car that had been waiting for them, only for a monster to suddenly land on it, ripping off the roof and ready to attack. To protect Suwon, Heidi woke up instantly and engaged the monster in combat. Kanwoo swerved sharply, throwing the monster off the car, while Heidi was knocked to the ground by a tree branch. As the car crashed into a tree and teetered on a cliff's edge, the monster attacked again, but Heidi fought back. Seeing that he was no match for Heidi, the man retreated to report back.
I see your combat abilities are very poor. You focus instead on a complex skill like flying. A terrible pity.
After eliminating the threat, Heidi rescued Kanwoo, who was in imminent danger. Just when they thought the crisis was over, Choi Jun-kyung, looking through supermarket assault records, discovered the survivor was Suwon. Her medical report confirmed she was indeed a parasitic creature.
So she's a parasite. Jun Suin.
Suwon and her companion docked into a small roadside motel, seeking refuge from the omnipresent police and lethal parasites outside. Kanwoo, burning with a desire to avenge his sisters, proposed exposing the monster's hideout to the authorities, a risky move that could reveal their identities. Trust was paramount, and Suwon thought of Officer Kim Cheolmin, the policeman who had helped her before. They anonymously tipped off Kim.
Is this Detective Kim Chol-min? Who I am isn't relevant right now. There's something you really gotta hear, okay?
Hey, wait, how'd you get this number?
You don't need to know that, sir. It's safer like this.
So in Namcheon, there's a church there, you know? Sejin Church, and it's way out in the mountains, okay? And there's a bunch of monsters out there, man.
Actual monsters.
What?
They look
Like humans, and then they open their heads like, and then tentacle-looking things, like, launch out. That's what they use as weapons to go after people and kill them.
Anyway, there's a bunch of bodies out there.
Yeah, I did my part then. So there, it's reported.
May I ask who you are?
Quickly hanging up after sharing the location, although skeptical of the tip's reliability, Officer Kim reported it to his superior, Choi Jun-kyung.
A tip-off was called in regarding Sejin Church, and the man said monsters are running around up there.
The man said monsters. Does it seem like this tip could be something credible?
I can't really be sure, it's just the man described creatures that...
Upon spotting the sign of the church, Officer Choi confirmed the authenticity of the tip. Choi and her team swiftly surrounded the area, uncovering heaps of human remains. But strangely, no monsters were found. It appeared someone had warned them.
We found body parts in the warehouse.
During the cleanup, Officer Kim spotted a keychain he had given Suwon. Had she been here? A foreboding feeling washed over him. He discreetly pocketed the keychain, but Choi Jun-kyung saw and grew suspicious. To confirm his suspicions, Kim arranged to meet with Suin at an abandoned amusement park. When he confronted Suin about the keychain she supposedly lost, Kim produced it just as an ear-piercing shriek cut through the air. In the next second, Choi Jun-kyung charged forward, weapon drawn. As she was about to fire, Kang-woo tackled Kim, knocking into Choi and allowing him and Suin to flee. The police arrived in force, forcing the duo to split up. Suin transformed into Heidi to buy Kang-woo time but was soon overwhelmed and surrounded. Meanwhile, the fleeing Kang-woo witnessed a chilling scene: a police officer with a sinister dagger killing a dog trained to track parasites. When Choi Jun-kyung arrived, she found the man dead. Though she knew he was no longer her husband, the loss hit her hard. She then placed a helmet on Suin, intending to use her as a tracker dog, but discovered Suin showed no signs of parasitic infection. Given this, the higher-ups decided to take her back for further research, suspecting she'd be treated like a lab rat. In desperation, Kim made a bold decision. Meanwhile, Suin, still unconscious, wasn't trapped by her own will but by Heidi, who wanted to protect her. Heidi told Suin that this might be their first and last real conversation. Suin was in danger, and the only person who could save her was trying to find a way. Heidi urged Suin to hold on, despite her overwhelming anger.
The reason you could make me like this is you got someone who's under a curse.
It is not because I chose this that we are here. Had we been unable to combine, then we both would have died.
Then I would have rather died. Why did you turn me into a monster? Why?
On the other side, Kim Cheolman found Kang-woo just as he was about to hide, needing his help to rescue Suin. However, Kang-woo refused, fearing for his life due to the monsters inside the police station. He explained he had seen someone stab a monster wearing an iron mask with a dagger. Kim Cheolman, shocked, showed him a photo to identify the assailant, who turned out to be his own teammate. Despite Kang-woo's initial refusal, a few sharp words from Kim wounded his pride but ignited his competitive spirit, persuading him to help rescue Suin.
I could never rescue Suin with a coward like you.
Shit!
Meanwhile, Kang Won-suk informed Pastor that Suin would be transferred to headquarters in 2 hours.
Do we still move forward?
We do. And it begins today.
Under Kim Cheolman's guidance, Kang-woo discreetly infiltrated the police station but unexpectedly ran into a SWAT team member changing clothes. He tried to leave, but the door was jammed. When the SWAT member noticed Kang-woo acting suspiciously, a fight broke out. After subduing him, Kang-woo donned the gear and took over the guard duty at Suin's cell, preparing to break her out. Just then, Choi Jun-kyung arrived unexpectedly, announcing the transport mission was starting sooner, and Kang-woo was shoved into a holding cell. Seeing the plan unravel, Kim Cheolman quickly got into the vehicle to follow the transport convoy. At that moment, Kang Won-suk also arrived and joined him. As the convoy reached a bridge, a traffic jam appeared ahead. Just as 2 officers went to investigate, chaos erupted with the sudden appearance of multiple parasites.
Emergency! Emergency! Man down! We need reinforcement!
Choi Jun-kyung, who seemed to have anticipated such an event, ordered the truck to turn around while she got out to fight the parasites. At that moment, an off-road vehicle slammed into the truck, knocking a parasite off that immediately leapt and killed the driver with its sharp tendrils. Even though Choi Jun-kyung returned quickly, she couldn't prevent the tragedy. The out-of-control truck headed straight for Choi, who, in trying to dodge, hit the median and was knocked unconscious. The truck's doors burst open, and Kang-woo found the controller on Choi Jun-kyung's body. As he was about to head back, she woke up, and chaos ensued again. Just as Choi Jun-kyung was about to intercept him again, she was interrupted by another parasite attack. Taking advantage of the confusion, Kang-woo successfully unlocked the helmet, and Heidi told Suin it was time to wake up. Her rescuer had arrived. Barely awake, Suin was dragged away by Kang-woo. They commandeered a car and fled under the watchful eyes of the crowd. Seeing them escape, Kang Won-suk disregarded orders and opened fire. Luckily missing, he and Kim Cheolmin pursued them, but surprisingly, Kang Won-suk suddenly turned at another intersection. Confused, Kang-woo didn't understand the turn of events. While Suin sensed a monster and realized Kim Cheolmin was in danger, she hurriedly got out of the car to help. But upon arrival, she saw Kim Cheolmin decapitated by Pastor, who had taken over his body. In her rage, Suin confronted and fought the creature. Despite her desire to kill the monster, it proved far too powerful. The battle raged on for hundreds of rounds, with neither gaining the upper hand. At the critical moment, Kang-woo drove a car into Pastor, knocking him away and saving Suin. Kang Won-suk wanted to pursue them and silence them permanently, but Pastor decided to let them go. The next day, Pastor and Kang Won-suk returned to headquarters to initiate a secret plan. After a meeting, Kang Won-suk pulled Pastor aside and quietly presented Suin's medical report. He couldn't understand why the test results from the previous day showed that Suin was normal and not a parasite.
A mutant, no doubt.
Kim Cheolmin had believed Suin to be a self-aware mutant, far more powerful than any regular parasite, posing a tremendous threat if allowed to mature. He then ordered his men to eliminate her. Meanwhile, Kang-woo had taken Suin to a friend's house. With Kim Cheolmin compromised by the monster, Suin decided to warn Choi Jun-kyung to be vigilant.
Suin, you called. Why not tell me where you're at?
Just listen to me first. There are parasites disguised as police with you.
Sure.
Detective Chun-min and the one who works with him. They're both parasites.
However, Choi Jun-kyung didn't believe her, insisting that every member of the police force had been thoroughly checked before entry. If there were any parasites, they would have been detected. Choi suggested they meet in person if Suin truly wanted to help. Knowing Choi Jun-kyung didn't trust her, Suin hung up after revealing her location. Alone at home, Kang-woo met with a friend who mentioned his sister had contacted him asking about Kang-woo's well-being. Kang-woo then saw an unsent message on his sister's phone, warning him not to come home. 2 weeks ago, his younger sister juggled several jobs to take care of their sick older sister. Coming home late one night, she noticed the family dog acting strangely. Approaching to calm it, she saw her sister and a stranger emerge, another person blocking her way, and the dog barking anxiously. Suddenly, her older sister transformed into a monster. In a moment of crisis, the kind-hearted younger sister released the tethered dog and then frantically ran out herself. Desperate, she hid in the sewer, but despairingly found a metal grate blocking her path. With no escape, she sent a last message to her brother. Moved by the unread warning, Kang-woo realized he needed to continue helping Suin and borrowed a car from his friend. At a cafe, Choi Jun-kyung had arrived at the address but found Suin not there.
Did you happen to see a woman make a phone call? This is her.
Oh, she said to go to the roof, yeah.
After getting the answers she wanted, Choi Jun-kyung went to the rooftop and finally saw Suin. It turned out they had received a tip about a parasite nest, and Kim Cheolmin along with Kang Won-suk, who were pushing for a sweep, were the same if they were parasites. Why would they kill their own kind? Suddenly, 3 SWAT members rushed up, revealing that Choi Jun-kyung had only intended to capture Suin by setting up this meeting. Underestimating Suin, they watched as she jumped off the rooftop. Heidi instantly awakened, using tendrils to safely land Suin. Furious, Choi Jun-kyung opened fire, but the bullets did no harm. Kang-woo appeared, swiftly escaping with Suin from the scene. Kim Cheolmin and Kang Won-suk's vehement advocacy for eradicating their own kind puzzled them deeply. Just then, Kang-woo received a call from a friend, who revealed that his older sister had gone to his house. Kang-woo hurriedly warned his friend to find an excuse to leave immediately. The person at his house was not his sister. While his confused friend pondered this, the older sister transformed into a monster and instantly subdued him.
You have 15 minutes, or your ally will be decapitated.
due to Heidi occupying Suin's consciousness for too long, she needed to sleep for 3 hours. However, they couldn't just leave their friend in need, so the two of them had no choice but to head back home. The monster sensed Heidi's dormant state and, feeling cornered, Kangwoo rushed in with a fire extinguisher. After hurling it, he attempted to cover his friend's escape. Before he could reach the door, the monster dragged him back. Seeing no escape, his friend bravely lunged at the monster. Terrified by the scene, Kangwoo froze, but luckily, Suin pulled him outside just in time. Witnessing his friend's tragic death left no time for grief. They had to flee the scene immediately. By the time the monster gave chase, they were far away. After returning to the police station, Choi Joon-kyung planned a thorough investigation while recalling the words of Soo-jin, which cast doubts on his urgent feelings towards Kim Cheol-min and Kang Won-suk. Was Kang Won-suk really a monster in human skin? Taking advantage of his distraction, Choi Joon-kyung secretly snipped some of his hair. When everyone exited the elevator, she picked up the clippings, but to her surprise, they did not confirm Suin's claims about Kang Won-suk being a monster. Reassured, Choi Joon-kyung prepared to lead the sweep with the two men.
Then stand by here. And thank you.
At that moment, her phone rang. It was Suin and Kangwoo, who had just escaped. They warned her that the sweep was a trap. Kim Cheol-min and Kang Won-suk were both parasites. However, Choi Joon-kyung had just checked. Kang Won-suk wasn't a monster, confusing Kangwoo and Suin. Kangwoo had clearly seen Kang Won-suk kill the hound.
Anyway, even if that detective isn't a monster, he's definitely working on their side.
You too. Better record this call. If this operation is a trap, then I'll get killed going in there. If I'm killed, you bring this call right to General Kim Sung-soo Police Agency.
We're ready to enter, ma'am.
Let's proceed.
As the SWAT team stormed the monster's den, to their surprise, Kim Cheol-min did not deceive Choi Joon-kyung.
Terminated! Above us!
The den was indeed full of parasites, and he even killed his own kind. This action was clearly witnessed by his subordinate who had just returned. Now, only Suin, he, and this subordinate remained as the infiltrators. What he needed to do was eliminate his own subordinate to keep his identity secret. Just as Kim Cheol-min was about to kill them to silence any witnesses, Kang Won-suk stopped him, reminding him that the police were everywhere and any rash action could expose their secret.
Stop right there!
What are these assholes doing?
Now I think you're the only parasite remaining in the whole area.
After hanging up, Suin couldn't understand why Kim Cheol-min would betray his kind. Then, Kangwoo noticed an advertisement nearby and finally understood Kim Cheol-min's plan. A music festival was scheduled for the next day. With the mayor attending, Kangwoo believed Kim Cheol-min aimed to get close to the mayor as a hero, transferring his parasite to him, allowing the parasite a chance to become a more influential leader. Everything went as Kangwoo had predicted. On the day the parasites arrived, Kang Won-suk visited Pastor's home, encountering him already parasitized. Pastor, not satisfied with just one body, wanted to rule the earth and needed an ally, so he coerced Kang Won-suk into a deal.
Compared to Earth's numerous creatures, you are unique. Humans have built a very...
This explained why Kang Won-suk wasn't a monster. At that moment, Kim Cheol-min asked what Kang Won-suk was smiling about. He replied that if their plan succeeded, he could become a congressman. Kim Cheol-min scoffed, saying if they owned the earth, a mere congressman was nothing. Both men entered the venue, preparing to host a press conference on the parasite situation. Kim Cheol-min announced the sweep had been largely successful in clearing out parasites, but warned citizens to stay vigilant against any that might have slipped through. He then released photos of Suin and her subordinates, revealing their parasitic identities and urging the public to report any sightings. Seeing the news, Kangwoo was furious. Knowing the beast's intentions, he reminded Suin to stay safe. She was now a national fugitive. As they discussed their next steps, the monster-transformed older sister called.
It is your sister.
Let us meet.
This is a joke, bitch. Don't mess around.
With harsh words, she asked to speak with Suin, saying, if you've seen the news, you should understand. We're in the same situation. Let's meet at the botanical gardens. Suin decided to meet her, and at least for now, they seemed to be on the same side. After the reception ended, Choi Joon-kyung intercepted Kim Cheol-min and questioned him. He had previously been adamant about protecting Suin, but now he seemed like a changed person. Kim Cheolmin disingenuously claimed that the safety of the citizens should take precedence over personal loyalties, but Choi Joon-kyung didn't believe his excuses and began to harbor doubts about him. Realizing that Choi Joon-kyung had doubts about him, Kim Cheolmin tasked Kang Won-suk with finding a way to get rid of her. Meanwhile, Soo-in, transformed into Heidi, met Kang-woo's elder sister in the botanical garden.
You and I must destroy the traitor to our kind. The one who merged with Kim Cheolmin and was once the pastor. I must kill him.
His appearance on the news today was surely meant to provoke us. It is an obvious trap. He wants to draw us to him, then he'll strike.
Before Heidi could respond, Kang-woo burst in, ready to avenge his sister and elder sister, only to be easily countered by the monster.
Look at this man. He tried to strike at me knowing I'm stronger. It was not a rational choice he made. But I can understand now what made him still try foolishly. I came to understand it when our kind were killed by the pastor.
Shit! Just stop acting like you understand!
We cannot reproduce to survive. But we cannot live independent of humans. All we can do is live as parasites on the human body.
Whose fault is all that? Huh?
After releasing Kang-woo, his elder sister declared that now Kim Cheolmin was planning to silence them both. If they didn't fight back, there would be no chance left. She decided to help Soo-in, and together they planned to kill Kim Cheolmin. At night, the music festival took place as scheduled, and the mayor attended the event personally. Eager to reveal his true nature, Kim Cheolmin effortlessly dealt with 2 bodyguards and then prepared to strike at the mayor. However, the chaos at the scene made it impossible for him to get close. Choi Joon-kyung also arrived with his troops. Kim Cheolmin was forced to systematically eliminate the mayor's bodyguards. At a critical moment, unexpectedly, Kang Won-suk turned traitor, using a catering cart to knock down Kim Cheolmin and then shot him dead. He then quickly escorted the mayor to safety. By the time the crowd surrounded them, Kim Cheolmin's head was missing. Unbeknownst to them, it was hidden in Kang Won-suk's arms. In the next moment, after dealing with the bodyguards, the parasitic creature lunged at the mayor, but the elder sister arrived just in time to save his life. Seeing this, Kang Won-suk was about to shoot when Kang-woo intervened.
We're on your side, okay?
When the monster realized its plan had failed, it hid, just as the elder sister was about to have Kang-woo take the mayor away. She was shot by Kang Won-suk. Kang-woo looked worriedly at his sister, feeling something different in his heart. He then sent them away and knocked down nearby shelves.
To you I ask for forgiveness.
As soon as the elder sister spoke, she was stabbed by the monster. With her last bit of strength, she fought together with the monster, buying time for their escape. But the monster couldn't stay away from a living body for too long. Seeing no other bodies around, it killed Kang Won-suk, who had yet to become a full-fledged member and was now discarded by the monster. Meanwhile, Kang-woo was hiding in a corner with the mayor when the parasitic Kang Won-suk used his ultimate move, morphing into Eyes of Exploration, and easily found their location. He rushed towards them, and Kang-woo lit a firework gun to stop Kang Won-suk's advance, urging the mayor to flee quickly, but he underestimated the monster's determination to parasitize the mayor, and soon the mayor was captured again. Just as he was about to be taken over, the transformed Heidi, Soo-in, finally arrived.
Hurry and escape this place now.
Hearing this, Kang-woo quickly helped the mayor to continue their escape. Thus, Heidi engaged in a final showdown with Kang Won-suk. Seeing that he was no match for Soo-in, Kang Won-suk hit again. He used words to distract Heidi while the parasitic creature in his brain circled to the back, launching a surprise attack while Heidi was attacking. However, the plan failed, and Kang Won-suk had to hide again. At that moment, Choi Joon-kyung suddenly appeared in front of Heidi. Kang Won-suk saw this and urged her to shoot quickly.
Shoot her, Miss Chen! Please hurry! Shoot her now! I'll still take your head right where you stand! This chair, shoot now!
In the nick of time, Choi Joon-kyung saw the reflection in the glass. After Heidi dealt with the parasitic creature, she immediately turned her gun and shot repeatedly, and after several shots, Kang Won-suk finally died unwillingly.
You knew he'd be the one I shot at, I guess. I did not. I do not have any skills in telepathy.
So then why wouldn't you rush me? I had a gun.
Jung Soo-in is a strange creature. She has been badly hurt by those close to her, and yet it does not stop her from trusting others.
Knowing that the parasite inside Soo-in had no ill will towards humans, Choi Joon-kyung decided to spare Soo-in and Kang-woo. Half a year later, Soo-in returned to her supermarket job, while Kang-woo was invited by Choi Joon-kyung to join the Grey Squad to eradicate parasitic creatures. Before leaving, he told Soo-in that Choi Joon-kyung had left a spot for her in the squad, and if she wanted to join, they were always welcome.
So don't be alone, okay? Call me if you want to talk about it. See ya.
Meanwhile, Choi Joon-kyung received a report from his subordinate about someone claiming to be a top expert in the field of parasitic creatures, wanting to report important information to him.
I'm sorry we kept you waiting. Let me introduce Miss Choi Joon-kyung, the leader of Team Grey.
And you are?
Good afternoon. My name is Shinichi.